Hi, welcome to Street Priest Ministries. I'm your host, Brother Jay, as we're taking the Gospels back to the streets. Today's drive-through message is sorcery in the church. Where my wolfhounds at? Oh! Oh! We got an alert here. We got some wolves in sheep's clothing, some Hollywood wolves in sheep's clothing, trying to sneak into the fold and eat the flock. So this message here is going to be a riveting message because Brother Jay's on it, and I stay on it. It's what God raised me up for. I believe this out. Now, you're going to have a lot of lukewarm, and I call them that, lukewarm Christians defending these Hollywood so-called conversions. And they love to quote the verses, "Judge not, brother, that you be not judged." Jackass, the Bible tells us to judge. I done taught on it. That's not the topic right now. It says, try the spirits and see if they're of God. Jesus said you'll know them by their fruit. Become fruit inspectors to make sure they're who they say they are. So that's just two verses. But if you want to get the teaching, love not the world, get it? Love not the world. And it's under the series Judging. Now, back to this. We have sorcerers entering into the church. No different than in biblical times, and I'm going to show you that. That's going to be the message today: sorcery in the church. And these people were sold out to Satan, to the devil, to the mammon. They sold their souls a long time ago, and all they're doing is prostituting the faith. They put the Bible on the straw. They're no different than the prosperity pimps, strutting and huffing and puffing across the stage. Now, matter of fact, they all the same. They going into their churches. Those are satanic churches. There was a synagogue of Satan. They got the emblems all over. They're throwing up their Mason signs and their handshakes right in front of the dumbed down Christian audience. And they're laughing in their face. Now, Brother Jay's on it. And we got a few on social media that's on it too. We got some wolfhounds. They ain't fooling them either. And that's our job. I'm an under shepherd. See that staff back there? To keep wolves out. To beat a wolf's ass for trying to come up in the house of the Lord. And when I talk in the house, I ain't talking a physical establishment. I'm talking about the body of Christ. And that's what Christ says. When he talks about his church, he's not talking about a denomination, a building. Most of them are prostituted out already. They're members of the synagogue of Satan, and they all get their orders from the Jesuits in Rome and the pedal pope in Rome. They all working for them. Matter of fact, that is the worldly church. And that's most, especially of these milquetoast, weak-kneed Christians so hard up for a Hollywood conversion. That's why they defended them, because they're just like them. They're greedy for gain too. Now, the biblical church is far removed from what we see today, but we'll see the same devil creeping in, or trying to creep in, but they were alert to the wolves. And Paul warned them. Paul was a wolfhound himself. He was an under shepherd that did his job himself to keep the wolves out. And he even warned. He said, when I die, or at my demise, I fear the wolves will move in for the kill. Now, I'm going to get my spiel on before I get into the message. Now, it's some messages that coincide that there's the devil goes to church. Please, if any video you see that one. Get that Street Priest Ministry video. No man could serve two masters. Babes in the church, too many babes in the church, babe-tards are the ones that's defending these sellouts, but they would sell out themselves. Brother Jay, you just jealous because you broke and you ain't. You don't know me. You don't know my past. You don't know nothing about me. In Hollywood, I worked in Hollywood. I done met the who's who and been in the presence of presidents. So you don't know nothing about me. Like Paul, I played the fool for a minute. I played 5 instruments. I could write for Hollywood. Could have easily been. I hung in VIP with some of the so-called major celebrities. They didn't know who I was because God wanted me there for a purpose, and that was observed. They invited me to the synagogues of Satan, their Mason temples, to join. I refused. I didn't sell out. Now, I'll just play the fool just for a minute, just for that. No, I am not jealous. at all. What shall it profit man if he gain the whole world, lose his own soul? I didn't sell it. But they did. And they're the focus. Not Brother Jay. Brother Jay's just the message. And that's for you milquetoast Christians out there. I thought I'd give you a little of that. In Hollywood, which is ran by the Jesuits, which is tied to the Pedal Pope of Rome, he's a Jesuit, has infiltrated the mainstream so-called church world. The world is now in the church. The church is turned into the nightclub of Jesus with twerkers shaking that ass and everything. It is not the biblical church that Christ died for. Christ said, if you want to his the world, I hate you. He said, marvel not that they hate me, they hate you. He said the servant ain't above the master. He talked about the world rejecting the gospel, the true gospel of Christ. It's never, ever going to be repackaged, Hollywood style, and sold to the world. That is not the true gospel. Now that gospel, the New Age gospel, yes, that's all tied to the New Age, to the Coexist bunch, Madame Blavatsky's crew, the witch, Madame Blavatsky, the Theosophy facade. Yeah, that crew, and that's what they're member of. Send that son of God to Satan. All these Hollywood so-called converted rappers, that's what they're member of. They sold a long time ago and still paying their dues to the devil. And mocking the church, throwing up their hexes and vexes in the church. Wolf does his best job in sheep clothing. The sheep gonna run if they see him approach. But not if he come into the sky. That's for you silly, worldly Christians, lukewarm. Jesus said, I'll vomit you out of my mouth, you lukewarm men. Give a teaching mediocrity equal there. That's why they're so accepted, because they're lukewarm themselves. Now, a long time ago, we were warned by the Bible. That's what I stand by. What does the Bible say? Brother Jay's allegiance to the throne of God, the Father, and his Son, Christ Jesus. I am not part of the cult of personality. I don't care if it's a politician, Hollywood, or anybody else. Like I said, I done met the who's who have been in their company. I ain't impressed. Wasn't impressed, told them to their face. Wasn't impressed with them. Met a lot of them. A lot of them is in the news. I done met. Ain't impressed. If you can hang them stars in the heavens, if you can create an earth and all life in it and put breath in it and make man in your image, I'll be impressed with you. I really will. I bow to you. But other than that, I'm not bound to your big fat egos. Give a teaching on humility. See what real humility is. Christian humility. Bible talked about in the last days, there will be those that have a form of godliness but denying the power thereof. Paul warned us of that. Pastor Paul. Anybody could run around. I'm a Christian. Anybody could throw it in Jesus. There'd be a lot of false Christs coming in his name, throwing his name around. He warned us of that. That's no big. Jesus said there'd be many in the last days that use my name to lead people astray. Jesus said if the blind be leaders of the blind, all will fall into the ditch, all will go to hell. Pastor blind, that includes the strutting, huffing, puffing, smiley souls, New Age Balaams, the Goofus Glittertees. They're going to hell and the congregation unless they repent. But this is the last days movement. We're witness. The world capturing the church. The early church that you read about in Acts turned the world upside down. But now the world has uncaptured the church and moved in and made Jesus an appendage of their Hollywood nightclub act. And got the Bible warned that there's a way that seems right unto the man thereof, but the ways are the ways of death. And that's what you got. Give my teaching Congregation of the Dead, the video, Congregation of the Dead. I got a whole list I want you to see. Look all those up. And get the Love Not the World series. You aren't to love this world. The world is the enemy of God. The Bible says if you're a friend of the world, you're an enemy of God. All them stadium fillers, all these, on all the major networks, you're getting plenty of praise. That's the praise of men. Jesus warned about the praise of men. He said you seek more the praise of men than you do the praise that come down from your heavenly Father above. Jesus talked about. Paul did too, and Peter. He said we should be the servant of men. We cannot please God. Get my teaching brother Aaron, the people's pastor. Get that video. We taught on a lot of this. We got a whole plethora of teaching. What we dealing with right now. Now, you got a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing that are entered into the church. And they done distracted the weak and the gullible and the ignorant, because they don't read their Bibles. The Bible said to study to show yourself approved, probably being a disciple of Christ's discipline. Most of the church world is lazy, lackadaisical, lethargic, lumps on the law, with no discipline whatsoever. The synagogue of Satan, the ones that's infiltrating the church, got more discipline, but ain't no more Bible. Believe that. And these are sorcerers in the church. Now, we're going to go to the Bible. That's, if you ever, the Bible is supposed to be for Christians. This is supposed to be what we go to see what true Christianity really is. We're supposed to listen to what Christ said. Christ said, my sheep know my voice. They hear me. They won't be led astray by another. Any Tom, Dick, and Hank coming up in the church and instantly pulling half the church members out with him because he's a so-called Hollywood rapper or a so-called Hollywood movie star or whatever. That's no big deal. So what? If they're some music entertainer or something that converted. So what? Satan sung praises to God for eons before he fell. He's still in the music business. I'm not impressed. Satan could put on a performance, a gospel album, better than any of the so-called the gospel album leaders of the day. Make a way better album. Matter of fact, that's where they're getting their music from. Secular world uncaptured. That's worldly music too, just with a Christian face on it, a Christian mask on it. They done captured that too. The secular world runs the gospel music industry. Period. They sell their souls just like the Hollywood heathens sell theirs. No different. That's why they giving praise to one another. What do you think? That's why they helping the so-called world. They all part of the same synagogue of Satan, all Masons. All attend the same temple of Satan. All throwing up the Baphomets, the Hail Satan, forked hand signs, 666, OK signs, all of them part of the same church. Illuminati, triangle signs, they all part of the same family. The same with them worldly pastors, they have them up in there. All part of the same clique. They're laughing, they mocking. I see them smile. I know that. Thing is, I know everything they're doing. They can't make a move and me not pick up one. The secret handshakes, the base of their shit. I'm watching everything they do. I'm watching all the Masonic signs they threw out and study. It's my business to study synagogue and say they can't get anything past me. And they're laughing in front of their dumbed down sheeple. Dumbed down Christian sheeple. The old cult runs circles around the Christian church world. Like I said, started out early. A lot of them from the street, hustlers, pimps, hoes. Come from the homeless, gangsters, con artists. They know how to flip the script in a minute. They're actors. They done natural born actors. They're all actors. Hollywood actors are actors. They're in character 24/7. The real them is about mammon, and they serve mammon. That's why they sold their soul to Satan. They serve Satan, they serve mammon. That's what they do. This is just another act, a Christian act. Oh, I'm an act to pretend to be a Christian so I can get that money from the Christians, so-called. I'll put that in quotes. But the real children of God ain't fooled by their music, ain't mesmerized by their talent, ain't going for the hustle that they're selling. That's the real men and women of God, and especially the under-shepherds of God, and the wolfhounds of God. And we got a few wolfhounds on the internet that they ain't fooling. They've been studying them too, like Brother Jay has for years. Can't get nothing past them either. Now, this message is for the simple, for the naive, the ones that's being fooled by these sorcerers up in the church, conducting their sorcery. Like I said, Satan was in him. He knows the music God likes. He knows how to play it better than any man on earth. He knows what to move the crowd. And this is his operation. These are his people. They work for him. And they still working for him. True Christianity ain't gonna never be popular. The Bible said the world hates Christ. The world don't want to accept God and his authority over them. This world is under the little g. Satan is the God of this world. As it states in Corinthians. He's the little g of this world. His time's running out. And he's going to be thrown into the lake of fire along with the beast, the false prophet, and all the minions that's following him in the world today. They sold to him today. Believe that. The Bible already declared it in Revelation. I'm taught on it. Get my teaching on all that. False prophet, all that. Anyway, so we're going to go on and get into the sorcery business. And we're going to start out. Let's start out in Acts 8:9. Now, hold on to your hats. We're going to go through some verses again today. It's another one of those messages. It'll probably be 3 or 4 part series. So bear with me as we go and see what does the Bible say. I'm not interested in what man says. If you follow Street Preach for a while, you figured that out and you heard me say this a million times. I'm not interested. I know following men to get me to hell and joining the cult of personality will get me to hell fast. Jesus said, enter ye in a straight gate. We're going to touch on that later on. All right, so we can go to Acts 8:9. And we're going to look at some sorcerers and see how they dealt with them in the early church. How they deal with Simon the sorcerer trying to come in and lead people astray. As Christians, we're supposed to be lights of the world. We're supposed to expose darkness. Even darkness pretending to be light, we're supposed to expose. A lot of you need to pray for discernment. You have none whatsoever. All right. Acts 8:9. But there was a certain man called Simon, which before in the time city used sorcery. Sorcery is of Satan, of the devil. Get my teaching on the book of Enoch. The book of Enoch, Brother Jay reads. The fallen angels introduce sorcery to man. It's fallen angel. Witchcraft, sorcery. It's from the fallen angel that taught man. To God it was blasphemous. It was an abomination throughout his book. And he punished his people for becoming it and using it. And he's the same God today, yesterday, he hasn't changed. Now read Deuteronomy 18. See how he feels about sorcerers and witches. Matter of fact, Exodus 22:18 says, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Back then they were burned, stoned, burned. Simple. Got rid of. That's how God felt, how strongly he felt about it. But there was a certain man called Simon, which before a time in the same city used sorcery, and bewitched. Pay close attention to this word. Bewitched the people of Samaria. What do you think the word bewitched means without even looking at it? Put them under a spell. That's what's going on with Hollywood. Hollywood are full of sorcerers, witches, warlocks, wizards. That's what Hollywood is. That's why I told you 1,000 times to take an axe to that tail live vision. Get it out of there. Because you're being bewitched. So that's their medium. They come into your home that way now. And they're coming into the church via Hollywood, bewitching the church. Got these Hollywood sorcerers coming with, they're like wolves in sheep's clothing to these satanic pastors' churches. These worldly, one world coexist pastors. Licking the boots of the pedal pope in Rome. That bunch. Those sellouts. They're vehemently defending these Hollywood sorcerers coming, because they're sorcerers too. They're all part of the same, I keep telling you, all part of the same synagogue of Satan. Give them a teaching, the synagogue of Satan, the ancient occult. They're all part of the same happy family. The same sold out Sam's, sold out Sally family. Getting paid by the devil, on the devil's payroll. They all on the devil's payroll. Bewitched. Let me read that again. But there was a certain man called Simon, which before in the same city used sorcery, and bewitched the people of Samaria. They doing the same thing with the modern church. They come up in there with their Eastern religion mixed with Christianity, spiritism. Nothing new under the sun. You got a sect called the Shinto sect in Japan that you would think was the Pentecostal church. But they doing everything under the power of Satan. They do everything the Pentecostals do. Under the power of Satan. Tongues, all that. Miracles. Satan could perform miracles, healing, and all that. Under white magic. And these sorcerers are into that. So they could easily switch the magic and make it appear Christian. Only the discerning, filled with the Spirit of God, can pick up on the difference. I taught a lot about that, and the devil goes to church. No big deal. Like I said, Satan was in heaven. So, sung praises to God himself. No big. He's an expert in music. That's his department. He didn't think he's an expert in his music. Musicians. It's easy to get them under his belt. Easy. They have their scalps on his belt. It's easy. But there was a certain man called Simon, which before time in the same city used sorcery, and bewitched the people of Samaria, giving out that himself was some great one. Ain't that what they're doing? They come in with that braggadocious, same worldly mindset. I'm the greatest rapper of all time. That ain't Christ. That ain't humility. You want to impress Brother Jay, Hollywood, with your conversion? Sell everything that you got. That's what Jesus told the rich young ruler. He was trying to impress Jesus. Jesus said, sell everything you got, give it to the poor, take up a cross and follow me. Then you impress Brother Jay. You want to impress Brother Jay? Come into a nobody's church, sit down, shut up, and sit in the back row. You will get Brother Jay's attention. Joe Jay will go to bat for you then. What happened to so-and-so? Somebody spotted him. He's broke now in the back of a church praising God. That's true conversion. Now you would get Brother Jay would defend you then. And I said, oh no, that's conversion right there. But all they do is switch hats. The same pimp hustle tricks they use to get where they are. They're working that work on Christians because most Christians are naive. They ain't naive to street life or nothing. Like they ain't never been through nothing. Know nothing about hustlers. They ain't never been around. They never grew up with them. They ain't never been one. So that's easy to bewitch them. Easy. These suckers waiting to be led. And that's what Hollywood is an expert at. Read this again, this is so good. But there was a certain man called Simon. We ain't going to just Speedy Gonzales do this. Which before time, let this marinate on your brain. Which before time in the same city used sorcery and bewitched the people of Samaria, giving out that himself was some great one. Now, Samaria had already been evangelized by the woman at the well. Remember, when she met Christ, she went and converted the whole Samaria by herself. The woman at the well, give me a teaching on the woman at the well. I taught on her too. The Samaritan woman. And here come the sorcerer to undo what she did. And anytime there's a move of God, you can best believe Satan's raising up a sorcerer to come in and undo. And the same with Paul in his day. He was constantly battling from the churches that, through the power of God, that he converted to Christ. Sorcerers creeping in his day, warning the early church about it. Nothing new under the sun. Satan's still the same Satan. Same devil. Doing the same devilish deeds. Nothing's new. To whom they all gave heed, from the least to the greatest, saying, this man is... I'm sorry. Nothing's changed. Look at this. This is a sorcerer that come into church and they credit him for being a man of God. No different than these so-called rappers. These sorcerer rappers today. Fooled, beguiled, bewitched. About as simple. Here you go. To whom they all gave heed, from the least to the greatest. Ain't they got the greatest so-called Protestant smiley saws and so-called, put that in quotes, New Age Balaams, Rupert communities, giving them, ain't that the greatest? Giving them praise, giving them orders, giving them stage, letting them up in the church. These churches are satanic anyway, like I told you. They all part of the same family. Man. I'm just using them as an example. No different. This man is the great power of God. This man has the great power of God. No, he's a powerful sorcerer. Full of a legion of demons that gives him his power. You got magicians walking on water, going through walls, or walking up buildings. It's under the power of the devil. And people are mesmerized by it. Levitating other people. Several feet off the ground, floating them up in the air. Under the power of Satan. Under the power of the dragon. Satan has power. Sell your soul to him. He'll give you power to work miracles in front of men. You had stories of major warlocks in the music industry. And I don't like to drop names, but two of the biggest ever. I'll just say two of the biggest ever. I don't like to make them famous. I keep them no names. They're already famous enough. But just think of the two biggest. One black, one white. The people that said they done miracles in their presence. With the weather and everything in. Sorcerers. Satan will give you power, you sell your soul to him, sure. But that's not the power of God. That's the power of Satan. That's the power of the false prophet. Wait till the false prophet comes. He's going to make fire come down. He's going to duplicate Elijah's miracle. He's going to make fire rain down from the sky. He's going to move the whole world with his miracle. Raise the dead, everything. He's going to put on a show. So for you suckers, it's taken aback by miracles. You're going to be hoodwinked by miracles. To whom they all gave heed, from the least to the greatest, all sold out in an instant. This man is the great power of God, and to him they regard, because that of a long time he had bewitched them with his sorceries. Bewitched. Paul used to lament to all the churches. He said it to the Galatians, "O foolish Galatians, who have bewitched you?" Paul lamented. I think it's Galatians I don't know, I think it's Galatians 6:1. But he said, he lamented. He said, oh, who have bewitched you? Who put you under their spell? And no different here. I'm showing y'all nothing's changed. That's why we read this scripture. The Bible said this is reading. We're to read this to learn what to do and what not to do. That's what this Bible is for. To show the charlatans for who they are. The sorcerers who they are. They're exposing. We're light. We're supposed to be children of light. Exposing darkness. Even darkness pretending to be light. To whom they all gave heed, from the least to the greatest of them, saying, this man is the great power of God. Ain't that what they're saying today? No, this Hollywood person, they're comparing him to Apostle Paul. He's nowhere near an Apostle Paul. For one, Apostle Paul didn't sell his soul to Satan. Apostle Paul never blasphemed Christ. He zealously pursued Christians that he thought was, because he was a Pharisee of the Pharisees, was blaspheming Moses and the law. He had honest intentions, just misdirected. He wasn't a deceiver. He was honestly believing he was a defender of the law. And seeing the early Nazarenes, that's what they were called, the Nazarene sect, as blasphemers. And under the law, you were to kill him. You were to stone him. And he was executing what he felt in his heart. That is not the same. That's the one who sold their soul out to Satan, professed it in front of the world, has become a billionaire doing it, and now switched hats. And made themselves, deified themselves as some kind of Messiah. To do the church a favor and make the church popular to the world.